everybody. Welcome to GenFriends. I'm your host, Cheri Hudson Passey from Carolina Girl Genealogy, and with me I have Shelley Murphy, the family tree girl. Hey, Shelley, it's good to have you. And also, as always, Melissa Barker is joining us. Love to have you here, Melissa. Thank you, aka I was going to have
archive
you.
lady.
Sorry, I was going to have you say.
I'm going to say it. She wasn't going to say it.
The
I see
archive.
those boxes back there.
Exactly. Melissa gets to spend her days in the archives, making us all jealous. So we're going to talk about two different shows today. We're going to quickly go over A New Leaf. I don't know if y'all have been able to see it yet, but it is on NBC, and you'll have to check your local listings. For a lot of us, it's on that Saturday morning spot, The More You Know. And for some people, it's on a different time. So check your local listings. It's a half-hour show, and it's meant to be just educational, try to get people spurred on to wanting to know a little bit more about their family history. So it doesn't go really in depth. So we just want to warn you about that. You really can't find your family in 20 minutes. So you really can't. So it takes hours upon hours of research, but
it could be years.
It could be years, exactly.
Yes.
And so, but we're just hoping that, any genealogy TV is good TV, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Helps to motivate people. So this was the second episode that we're going to talk about, and it was Anthony and his wife Jacqueline, and what they wanted to do. Jasmine, sorry.
Yes.
Jasmine, sorry. Jasmine knows all about her family, but Anthony doesn't, and they're at the point in their married life where they would like to start having children. And so that's what he wanted to know. He wanted to know a little bit more about his Southern roots, which, he very, very clearly had Southern roots. They
were a sweet couple, though.
Yes.
And I found it extremely interesting that he's thinking ahead to his children and wanting to pass this down to them.
Exactly.
You don't hear that very often.
Well, because of the culture of the Filipinos,
Probably,
that's automatic, and he's seeing that.
I think he's kind of jealous that she knows so much about her family.
So much.
Exactly. But it's a cultural thing there, I think.
I agree with you. And one of the premises we were hearing from Genealogy when we interviewed her last week was they want to take people and say, what is the catalyst for you wanting to find your family history? And so that's why at the beginning of these episodes, we will see why they want to know their family history, what's got them interested in finding out about their ancestors. And so, of course, like we said, his was so he could tell his children, who their Southern ancestors were. So, of course, quickly they were able to put a tree together for him, which, like we say, and they went back quite far, all the way back to Kentucky. And he was really surprised, because he goes Kentucky to North Carolina, I should say. And he says, wait a minute. How did we get from one place to another? And he had all those questions. So the one ancestor they got back to was 103. 103.
One was 103 and one was 118.
118.
Now, either somebody couldn't remember how old somebody really was, which happened, or man, he's got some longevity in his lines.
Yeah.
And they were able to find pictures too. A picture
but
of
it's a quick glimpse of where you can go.
Exactly.
It doesn't happen in 30 minutes, of course. But it's a good glimpse to give him an idea. But I thought what was really fun was that he was a comedian and he wanted to share the findings about his family through him standing on the stage. So I thought that was a nice way of presenting your family tree information.
Exactly. And the audience is going to listen because you're making jokes. So the pictures were great that they were able to find for him.
Yeah.
And what I found interesting was, when I first heard, you had Revolutionary War soldiers in your family, and then they went to Kentucky. I think those of us that have done research for a while went ding, 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 pension. It was bounty land. That's how we ended up in Kentucky. And so sometimes just understanding history will help you know why your ancestors went from A to B or C and D and all the way across.
Right.
So learning a little bit of history. So I thought that was great. And they also talked about he had Civil War ancestors as well, soldiers.
Yes.
That was the one that was 103.
Yeah.
The Revolutionary one was 118.
He lived 118.
And Melissa, do you remember about what they said about the three brothers? They had signed up to fight for the Confederacy.
Yes, it reminded me actually.
Switched.
Well, it a little bit reminded me of one of my husband's ancestors. His great-great-grandfather, Osborne Wren, and his two sons, Robert and James, enlisted in the Confederacy. But it wasn't too long after they were in there that they all deserted at the same time. Now, they didn't switch to the Union, but they were later captured, and they had to give up 1 year's pay, and then they had to do hard labor with the ball and chain.
Oh, wow!
So when he said that the father and the three brothers did that, I thought, oh wow, that's kind of like what I found.
Yeah,
it was pretty interesting.
Sure.
I thought that was really, really interesting, and that they were able to trace them to, deserting the Confederacy and then joining up in the Union Army. I thought that was really cool.
Didn't you think he had great questions? And I think
Yes.
that's something as far as us sharing. The questions he asked were good ones that I don't know if the new people just starting their genealogy might think of, but I think understanding you need to ask questions to lead you where records and resources might be.
Exactly. I like how they put those on the screen, and then they put the little, anytime they need to explain something,
it's interactive almost,
they'll put that up on the screen. So I think that hopefully that people will watch and people will get interested, and this will be a catalyst to get, especially the younger generation, to want to get interested and want to find out more about their family. So again, that's A New Leaf, and it's on NBC, and you'll just have to check your local listings to see when it's on. For some of us, like I said, it's on that Saturday morning, the More You Know segments that they have for a couple of hours on Saturday mornings. And for others have told me, oh, mine's during the week or Saturday nights or whatever. But you can also go to NBC.com and watch it on there too. So or go, if you've got cable, I watched it on demand. So there's other ways, if you don't catch it when it shows live, that you can watch it. So I encourage you to get on and give it a try. We need to support these genealogy TV shows, because like I said, heck, could be great if they were on all day long.
That's the more
we would never get anything done, but exactly, that's the more we need to know. Absolutely. Yes. Well, let's move on to day 4 of Relative Race. Wow. This was an emotion-packed, frustrating time for a lot of the teams. We had Team Black starting out. They had the benefits starting out on day 4 that they were not going to have to take their selfie. So for them, it was cool. We get this extra benefit today. Jen at the beginning I thought was really great, because her cousin that she met the last time gave her some handiwork that their great-grandmother, I think it was, had made. And as all of us know,
those were beautiful.
They were.
When we can touch something that our ancestors touched, oh, there's just nothing like it. Just
especially ones you don't know.
Especially ones you don't
or
know.
No pictures or anything. It was
like
beautiful.
she said it made her real. It just made her real. And doesn't that? It's just this tangible thing that they owned, even if you can't visualize them in your mind because you don't have a picture or whatever, you just know you're holding something. So they realized, oh my goodness, we better get up and get packed and get going. And so they hurried and scurried out the door, and JD forgot the phone. Luckily,
so I know, here's your phone. I thought, boy, you need that phone.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine if they'd gotten down the road and realized at that point
about that
that they didn't have their phone? So, oh goodness.
But I felt sorry for Jen.
Oh, yes. As they are traveling.
When she got
No. She read the address.
She read the address.
It was Tucson.
Yes.
Versus Tucson.
But you know, when you are in that kind of stressful situation, and I love JD was so good about it when she was saying
so good.
It was my fault. It was my fault, and she goes, just own it. It was my fault, and he's like, no, it's fine.
But he was so understanding.
He was so generous with her.
Yeah, he was.
Just a nice guy.
Not all husbands are like that.
Yeah, that's true.
I love him.
Such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. We had Team Green that had a really struggle,
Really rough day.
hard, really
I
rough
thought that's
day.
who you were talking about.
Oh yeah. Yes, they had a rough day.
The wife had a rough.
Deshay really had a hard
really
time.
had a hard time. It was really
It
hard.
was a
And
breakdown.
I think a lot of it, this has been so emotional. She's meeting uncles. She met another uncle on day 4. The uncles can't help her figure out who her biological parent is.
But then
do you think he knows? They asked him twice. She asked him twice.
She asked him twice, and he said no. But he did say his brother Rick. He said he could possibly be your father, but he's passed away. He said I wouldn't be surprised.
But why did he not know? Or is it because of the DNA connection that becomes her uncle?
Yeah, it's the DNA connection. So he's her uncle. And so one of those people on that list is her biological parent. One of the siblings. It could one of the girls could just be her mother. She just doesn't know as she's crossing that out. I think she was just stressed out. I think I'm
hoping maybe before it's all over with, we could get wouldn't it be nice to get Dan, but to get someone from the show to come on, because I'm wondering if they don't tell these family members, like they didn't tell the uncle who her father.
See, remember they're watching it just like we are now,
right? So he kind of hesitated, and so I think in his mind who he thinks he thinks,
but he doesn't know for sure, so he's not going to say. Exactly. So he's not going to say. Yeah,
it referenced that the brother Rick, who might be her father, there were several other children that showed up at his funeral.
Yes, exactly.
But that's a reality, though.
That is a reality.
That is a reality. It's happened in my dad's family at a reunion on one of his lines. Not on my dad's, but one of his cousin's lines. Somebody showed up that nobody knew about. So then,
and I also wonder with Deshay's day that she had, I think about it and take into consideration, they're probably not getting much sleep.
No.
And all the frustrations of using a map, which, speaking of the map, I noticed that they kept driving around in circles, but I never once saw her look at a map.
Mm-mm. And they were frustrated because she was talking about everything was closed. It was after 5 o'clock. So, but what they did do is they ended up going to a hotel and asking the hotel. So that was very smart to figure out that hotel. We had Team Blue. Anitra started the day with a dance with her cousin.
I loved it.
That was
really
great.
Sweet. That was so sweet. And then her husband Paul yells, "Oh my gosh, we're not packed!" And so they have to run.
Oh, that was crazy.
That was And then they got stopped by a funeral procession.
Yes.
And they're like, "We can't go around. That's rude. You can't."
But wait, let's back up a minute.
You can't do that. What's that, Shelley?
Back up a minute.
All right.
Now I thought it was an emotional moment when her cousin told her, that the grandmother or the auntie tried to.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
The grandmother.
Right. Yeah. From
tried to get you. They would have been raised together like sisters.
Yeah.
And that just went right to the heart. And I
exactly.
thought, oh my God.
Them dancing like that. I thought was so
funny.
And
that's
they would have done that.
That's what just made it all the more special.
Yeah. And all of them are collecting pictures and
they're collecting so much.
Oh, so much things. Team Red, they were ready. They had their car
They were sitting in the car.
They were waiting for that text to come through. And I thought, of course, that's exactly what you should be doing. Because if you can just shave off, for some of them, it's like 2 or 3 minutes.
They were packed and ready to go.
Would have been the difference. So they were packed and ready to go. And then they got caught in traffic. Yeah. It seems like each of the teams had something going on. But let me tell you, that challenge is what threw Deshay off.
Oh my goodness.
That challenge was so hard. And I know that they practice, they have people come in. I know Joe and Jerica from a couple of seasons ago have gone and tested out some of these challenges.
He just tweeted something about the challenges.
That one.
Yeah,
that one on day 4 was something else. They were on these little carts. If you haven't seen it, they were on these little carts and they were pulled back like, what's the right word that I'm looking for? Like a slingshot. Thank you.
Slingshot.
Boom, and let go. And then they had to throw balls at the targets and they had to get the balls through the targets. But what was happening was they were slamming into the
It was
walls.
how fast they were going.
They were going so fast, and I
Yeah.
don't think they anticipated that. And so for Deshae and Chris, it was really frustrating. They just weren't. She felt like she was getting hurt. They weren't hitting.
They
their
all looked like
targets.
they were getting
They
hurt.
all
Yeah,
looked like
they
were
were.
getting hurt.
They really
And so,
did.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what the, if somebody had gotten hurt, that wouldn't have been so
The
great. I hope
banging.
their insurance is paid up.
Well, the cart that they were using, it looked to me similar to a book cart.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever used a book cart,
Yes.
it does not go straight.
Mm-mm.
It just doesn't when you're
It's
pushing
gonna
it. It does not go
wants to
straight.
go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the only thing I thought of was I wondered if they could hit, the like rubber band thing that they had to pull them back. I thought, what if you didn't pull it back quite so hard and let them
So
go?
they go so fast.
And that could have been the problem. Maybe in testing it, people weren't pulling back. But see, they're so focused. And we got to hurry. We got to hurry. We got to get this done. That's probably part of it, that adrenaline, where people practicing it, they don't have that adrenaline rush trying to hurry through. They're just playing a fun game. So I'm wondering if the adrenaline, but Deshae actually looked like she had kind of a panic attack.
She was like hyperventilating
or
something.
Hyperventilating. They had to take her into another room, and she was ready just to quit.
And we got nothing else. All we got was I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Yeah. And so it seemed to me that maybe she was having some kind of panic attack. So all in all, for Team Green, it just wasn't.
Yeah.
It just was.
And she kept. Then she got to where, remember, she about driving.
I know.
She said, let me drive. Just let me drive.
Yeah.
And then she got behind the wheel and she kept tearing up and crying. And I thought, I wondered if, I understand that the physical aspect of the challenge probably got to her, but I also wonder if for some reason that particular day, all the emotions of everything just kind of hit her.
And I kept thinking, where's your poster? Where's your poster that little 12-year-old,
yes.
Pull that poster out and look at that poster, and maybe, take a few minutes to look at that and see if that can give you some motivation to keep going. I was just said, please don't stop. Please don't go home. Cause she's like, I want to go home. I just want to go home. And so I felt so bad for her.
And her husband was so understanding.
To go forth.
He was.
There's so many interesting stories this season. With JD, not JD. Yeah, is he 53?
He said he was, I guess,
he's almost 50. I think he's like 48 or 49.
Yeah.
But, I'll wait until you say it when you get to JD.
Yes. Well, I love too. They tried a little trash texting. They've been so good.
They're so funny.
They've been so good, but they can't do it. And it was something like, you're going to go south today, just like your direction or something. They were trying. And then she goes, and this was Anitra, she goes, #boom. And her husband's like, oh. And then they were saying, Anitra was saying that they really didn't miss their phones except for Siri. And
that was so funny.
The whole Siri thing
the whole Siri thing
funny.
Was hilarious.
Because
he did so well.
He did. He goes, I am going to do Siri directions like my wife gives directions. Find the dog, turn left, and then whatever. It was so funny. That comedy really, Melissa,
it helped the tension stuff as well. And
all of a sudden I couldn't hear Melissa. Melissa, say something so I know I can hear you still. Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
See if you accidentally muted yourself.
Yeah, I did accidentally mute myself.
Okay.
Sabotaging myself. No, it was interesting that even she agreed that that's how she gives directions. And
exactly.
It reminds me of myself so bad because I can get lost in a box with directions. And so it's, I'm just that way.
So funny.
That was great.
As we go through and as they're meeting people, Anitra is just meeting cousins on her dad's side, right and left. She's just connecting with all these cousins, but she's not meeting anybody on her biological mom's side. So I wonder if that's coming later or if it's not going to come. But it's all been
suspense.
I know it's all been, and it's so funny because they all kind of resemble each other and they get along so well, and it's just so fun. And she is getting all these pictures and all that kind of thing. And I'm so happy for her because they're all making the comments of that they just feel so much more grounded and parts are being filled and they're feeling peaceful. And I just love that. Deshae meets another uncle, kind of talked about that before. She meets another uncle who says, I don't know who your father is, like we were talking about. And she meets some first cousins. And I noticed that the girl, first cousin, there was a lot of family resemblance between, their hair color was different, but, you could tell tell that they were cousins. I thought that was
at first I thought it was kind of weird that they went, glow in the dark golfing. Because I'm thinking, why are you going? Sit down and talk about genealogy. But I think Deshane really needed that.
Oh, I think she did too. And Chris leaned over to her at one point and said, "Isn't this worth? Even though we had a bad day, this is worth."
Yeah, that was so sweet of him.
It was very sweet for him to put up with all that. That's got to be hard. But he's got to know this is stressful for her. He knows how long.
Well, he's had to live with that.
Yeah, he's had to.
With
exactly.
the ups and downs.
Right, of her not knowing. So, then we had Team Red, and Ray meets Ray. I love Ray. Ray meets a cousin who tells him, "You know who you look like? You look like our grandmother." And you could just see Ray just like, "Oh, I do. I fit. I belong. This is so cool." Yeah. And they showed him a picture, and he even commented about how, it was the first few days have been so hard. Why wasn't I the one chosen? But he says, "I feel so much better today.
He finally let that go," he said.
Yeah.
Did you hear him when he said that?
Yeah. Day 4 was really a healing day for him.
Oh, I think so too. I think
her comment about looking like the grandmother and stuff, and he said, because I wanted to just grab him and shake him and say, Mama might have had some issues, that this was better for you to make sure you were okay, because she was struggling with the one. You were the chosen one.
That's great, Shelley. That is really great. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just wanted to say she probably couldn't afford to keep you the way she wanted to, and it was just barely a survival for her and the older one. And he looks like his brother.
Yeah.
See that picture?
Oh, yes.
Well, I won't say it's the other team. There's another thing I'll bring up, but it was amazing. And I'm so glad that he changed that emotional mood. And it might come back again.
He'll probably have ups and downs with it. Especially when he gets to the point, which we hope that he will sometime during the season, where he gets the answers
or meets
help him
brother.
Heal. Yeah, meets his brother, and I think that's gonna.
He got a picture of him.
I know. I hope he gets to meet him, and his brother knows something of the story and can help him. That's what I hope. What about JD? Oh my!
Wow, that was amazing.
Was that twins? Was that literally twins standing there?
She walked down the stairs, and I thought that's got to be somebody for JD. And when she said, "I'm your sister," I mean, she just says it right out. I'm your sister.
But they looked like twins.
Everybody just kind of, I think everybody watching Relative Race, there was a collective.
We all did
tears,
that.
And then tears. Oh my goodness.
That was the highlight for me.
It was the highlight of day 4. Oh, yes.
If his father's already passed, that would have been awesome. But now he's got a sister and a brother. Do you see that picture of the brother? And I mean, identical.
Wait, wasn't he a coach like JD?
Yes, and
the
similar positions. Oh, yeah. And JD's just like, oh my gosh.
This is where Dan and them really do a good job.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, the stories they're bringing together. That and the relatives, thank you to the relatives that agree to do this.
Exactly.
And I can't imagine what it takes. I know nothing about producing shows, but you can't. What does it take for them to sit down and map all this out?
Oh, exactly.
To get this one there and get this one there, and they just have done such a fabulous job.
And how the stories would be better. Which one should they meet first, second? That kind of thing. And I know a lot of that's got to do with logistics of where they are. But
the travel routes confuse me, because if somebody's only got 2 hours and another one has 5 hours, I'm missing some hours in there. And shouldn't we be seeing something? What happens there? We need to get Dan on here.
I think we just see about the same for each person. They just, some of them are lucky enough for that day, and they get to spend a little longer with their relative, and then the next day they're probably the ones that are traveling a little farther and they don't get as much time.
But we want Dan's secrets.
Yeah, we do want Dan's secrets.
I know. I'm going to ask him on Twitter or somebody. Dan, you need to come on GenFriends.
We want you back. Yes, we want you back.
Yes.
Very good episode, though.
Oh, it was a fabulous episode. And then, of course, we have to go to the Skype call. Which, like I said, every week I love the Skype call. I love all the tears. I love when they're showing each other and they're holding up I'm back home, guys. I have my bracelets.
I see.
I see that.
But just, the power and the unity of these teams has just been
Which
so
is a
wonderful.
little different.
It's a little different this year. We're not seeing as much. I mean, not that they've ever been mean to each other or anything like that.
No, but they were competitive.
They were much more competitive on past seasons. So to see the tiers and they're bonding with each other through, they feel so similar in the things that they're trying to discover. And I think that's why they're bonding, because each team has somebody looking for a biological parent.
Right.
And I think they have so much in common, and none of them wants to get the strike to be gone, and none of them wants their biological parent to have passed away. And so all that is playing into them rooting for each other. So I love it when they turn and say, and this is my sister. The looks on everybody's face when he says, I want you to meet my sister. I mean, there was tears and just they were joyful.
Everybody gasped.
Yeah, they were.
Now
joyful.
there was one group, I cannot remember if it was the blue. I think it was the blue team. One of them did not turn and show their relative, and I want to say it was the blue team.
I think so.
And I wondered why, because she was sitting there. They showed her sitting there.
Well, it's very possible for some weird reason it didn't make the clip. Maybe something happened
I think
technologically wise, or
she just kept talking and she didn't say.
Yeah, it could be. Who knows? But
and
you were so good. I missed that.
Oh yeah,
no, I caught that too.
And poor Shay, her emotions got the best of her at the end of that Skype call.
Exactly. Well, they found out that they came in last place, and I think it just
but you know what?
Too much.
By them, Deshay and them getting the strike, that actually extended it for the others.
Exactly.
In one sense.
You're right.
Unfortunately, they got their first strike, but now everybody has one
strike.
So they're all on a level playing field again.
Really are.
You know,
they
really like starting over.
Now, what I found was interesting is the winning team gets help with the challenge next week.
Yeah.
They get a tip. I mean, that's all they were told, is they would get a tip. And I'm wondering if they're going to do the same. Because remember we talked about how
the Young Brothers last season,
or like
with the dad driving.
Who knows? But like they may do something strange, because look what they did to Team Black, because they were allowed just to go straight. They didn't have to do their selfie, but they had to find the address in the car.
Right.
So
they did.
It ended up being in the trunk. So who knows where this tip is going to be?
Maybe somebody will be there to meet them.
Maybe. And that's the red team, or somebody's going to help them with that challenge. Maybe they're going to get clues to play the game, or maybe they'll get a heads up. Like if it's one of those history things again, maybe they'll get a heads up as to what kind of questions are going to be asked, or who knows?
I know.
Who knows what it's going to be? But it was Team Red that came in first place, so they will get the benefit, the challenge benefit. I'm kind of enjoying it this season, how they're each getting something for the next day, and they haven't done this before. It's all been like we said before, the day 10 benefits, and nobody's getting a day 10 benefit. They're always getting a next day benefit. So it's just, I guess they just have to change things up every year. They can't have it all the same, because that would be kind of boring if it was the same.
Well, I'm loving it.
I do. This is a great season.
Yeah.
This is an absolutely great season. So I can't believe next week is day 5. We're almost halfway through. And they've all met such incredible relatives already. And so you think, oh my gosh, they've got 4 more, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9. And then day 10, they don't meet anybody. So they still have lots of potential, unless they do something different day 10. Who knows? They may still be meeting. In the past, they've had some of their relatives come on in day 10 and help them. That was
back in the history challenges.
Yeah, they did a
wherever
couple
they
of them
were at
like
Boston.
That.
I just don't remember where.
Yeah, they've done a couple where
their
relatives showed up at the end and helped them out. So who knows where they're going with this? So anyway, so that's great. We've been able to talk about A New Leaf and encourage people to watch that, and day 4 of Relative Race, and what incredible, emotional, half a box of Kleenex, tissues, whatever you call them in your part of the world. Always have them with you, because you're going to cry at some point when you're watching Relative Race. So it never fails. Anyway, Shelley and Melissa, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I sure appreciate it. And we will see everybody next time on GenFriends. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.